Hey there, this is Real Talk Baseball. I'm Carlos Baseball. With me, as always, is WillPower and Tony Snap. How you guys doing today?
Good.
All right, cool. Don't talk at the same time because, you know, he can't really hear you. We got an interesting show today. Today is the Fantasy Baseball edition, and we are talking about shortstops, one of my favorite positions. Actually, my favorite position. So let's go ahead and start out. We're going to give you our top three, and we're going to start with WillPower. So, Will, tell me your top and number one shortstop for fantasy baseball.
I know a lot of people, they're really into the Tatis thing right now, right? There's so much hype about this guy, and I agree. He's probably going to be a great player in the future. I don't think he's number one yet.
Okay.
For me, my number one is Trevor Story. And I think he's still taking advantage of that Coors Field effect. You know, that's why I got the Rockies hat on today. I still think that they have a decent lineup where they're going to score some runs. He's definitely going to get a lot of RBI, and he steals bases also with a really good batting average. This past season, he hit 283. I know it was a shortened season, but he's pretty consistent with that. He kind of hovers around like between 270, 290, never really goes below that. So he's pretty consistent. I really like this guy. He definitely has the most power production, I think, out of all the shortstops.
So how many years has Trevor Story been playing in the major leagues?
I want to say he'll be coming up on free agency after this next season. So I think he's 5 years in already. Oh,
yeah. And he has been producing a lot of good numbers of previous years, right? He's been an all-star player too. So it's not a bad pick. I think Trevor Story is not a bad way to go. Like you just said, playing in Colorado, a lot of players have that Colorado effect, right? Because of how thin the air is over there. And you just hit a ball in the air and that thing takes off.
Honestly, that's why I think Arenado hasn't won MVP yet, because they kind of downgrade his batting skills because of the Coors Field effect.
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah? Oh, dang.
I think he should have won MVP. He's hit like 320 with like 40-something home runs a few seasons ago.
His split between home and away are pretty much the same.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
But a lot of people don't look at that. They're always just kind of focused on, he plays at Coors, which is another reason why Charlie Blackmon is so good. And,
yeah. I mean, LeMahieu is a prime example as to it not being an issue or an actual thing if you're really that high caliber of a player.
Yeah, because LeMahieu won the batting title a couple seasons with Colorado, and then he goes over to the Yankees and he's doing the same thing. Even increased his power a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you're right about that. He's been in the league for 5 years, and he is going to come up to his 6th year this next year, so it's going to be pretty impressive. I think he's going to have some impressive numbers, and I think he is going to he's going to try to look for that big contract somewhere, right? Because I don't know if Colorado's going to have that money.
We always talk about that, right? Guys that are coming up on free agency, they always step up their game a little bit. Yeah,
Tony, do you agree with his pick?
He's in my top three. But I agree with Will as to like everybody being on the Tatis train right now.
Choo-choo.
And El Nino, you know, I like him a lot. He's I mean, you can see he's legit, you know. My number one is Francisco Lindor. Yeah, especially with being with a new team now. I feel like last year or maybe with the Indians, there wasn't really a lot of players around him, so you can probably pitch around him, you know. But now with the Mets, I mean, everyone's probably, I would say, the top 5-6 hitters on there are going to be pretty decent. So we'll probably see a lot more production from Lindor. So I'm putting down as my number one. I would say he's probably been number one or at least top 3 for the past 4 or 5 seasons, you know. I think he's going on his 6th season now.
Yeah, he's going to.
Yeah, because he's going to be a free agent after this season.
Yeah. Hey, do you know where he's going to bat in the lineup yet? Have the Mets ever, or have they said anything about where he's going to bat? Is he going to be a leadoff hitter? Leadoff?
I really hope not, though, because then he's not going to get that many RBIs as he should. I think he's probably their best hitter, so I think he should be number 3. You know, same as like Mike Trout is with the Angels. You always bat your best hitter at 3, and then you got your power guy right behind you who could be Pete Alonso to just drive him back in.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him at 3.
You know, it's crazy that I'm looking at his stats right now. He started off in 2015. He had a 333 batting average. And then every year from there, it's been going down. It's been going down. is that something to be concerned about, or is it because, like Trevor Story, it's his year before hitting that contract year? Is it something that Lindor probably is looking for to get a huge contract? He's going to step up his game a little bit more.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It doesn't really worry me that much. I mean, he's been really consistent.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the past, I mean, they do say that. I think some people would say that he had a bad year last year, but he still had pretty decent numbers compared to some of the other shortstops I was seeing today.
Yeah.
His batting average is at 258 for 2020.
Uh-huh.
I mean, but before that, it was 284, 277, 273. And those first 2 years, I do see that he was hitting above 300. But
yeah,
I mean, for excluding 2020, I mean, he's been an all-star for 4 straight years,
Yeah, and he's been talked about a lot. A lot of people know who he is, especially with this big old trade that happened with the Mets. What round does he go, Tony, for you on first pick?
I would say probably late round 1, early round 2.
Okay, and
that's for me.
And then Trevor Story, Will?
Trevor Story, it looks like he's going
like round 1. Like
he's another round. So is this so your top ones like?
He's going 11 overall. So round 1, the end of round 1.
Okay, so with those picks, are those like a must-have player? Like because there's not a lot of shortstops, or there is a lot of shortstops?
Well, the thing with shortstops is a lot of times they're not the biggest power threat, right? Yeah. Shortstops are usually like the guys that kind of slap the ball to the opposite side of the field and more just get on base. You see that a lot throughout the league, but when it comes to these guys, like I think for me and Tony both, like if we just give you our top 5, it's probably going to be all the same players, maybe mixed around a little bit. But if you see all these top 5 players, they all have really good power production. Maybe other than Trey Turner. He might be the only one that's in the top 5 that doesn't have that power production, but he's also going to steal 40 to 50 bases.
And he's going to get you a lot of doubles. Yeah. He's going to get you
a lot of doubles, some triples.
Yeah.
He's got some speed.
Fast. Yeah. He is fast. Exactly. All right, cool. And with that, you guys want to add something else, or should we move to round 2?
Yeah,
we can go to 2.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Who's your number 2, Tony?
Oh, Tony?
Yeah. You went first, man.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I think we probably agree, since we already talked about it, that a lot of people are on the train, and I think I hopped on too. So I picked Fernando Tatis Jr. as number 2.
Okay.
I see, I mean, out of the last 2 seasons, I think he played like a full season. And I think that's enough of a size sample for me, at least, as to put him in the top 3, and definitely for my number 2. It was kind of a toss-up. I wanted to put Tatis in, but just because of Lindor's consistency over the year, that's why I chose him as number 1. But number 2 for me would be definitely Fernando Tatis, because of his home run production and potential.
El Nino?
Fast too, man. He can steal you a couple of bags at least.
Yeah.
He does steal some bases.
Yeah. So you're biting into it. You're biting into him being a producer, a run producer, and he bats what does he bat? Second, right? Or third?
Yeah, I think so. Second.
Okay, so he's gonna get you good points. Gonna get you RBIs. Can get you home runs. We know he can hit the ball pretty well, and he can steal bases. So that's a good pick. You say you switched them from being number 1 to number 2?
Yeah. Because I was like, I was on board, man. I was like, heck yeah, Tatis. But then I thought about it. I was just like, you know what? This is gonna be like almost like his second year, just because like he came in halfway in 2019, I think. Yeah. During that season, and then in 2020 is when he, I guess, technically had full season. But I put Lindor in first because just because of what he's done in the past and how.
Okay. And what round does he go in?
He's gonna go round 1. A lot of people have him as like a top 3, top 5 overall.
Oh man, so
we'll go early number 1, I think. Round 1.
He's going like number 3 overall.
Wow. So
I know.
We talked about 3 guys so far, because I haven't asked you for your number 2, Will. 3 of these guys are going in the first round?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
See, this is the thing though. With shortstop in fantasy baseball, once you get past that like top 5, it starts dropping off a lot. You know, there's some guys that are still not top 5, like Bogarts. You know, a couple of the guys that they're still going to be really good production wise. But after that, it's I want to say like the last guy that you really want to draft is Corey Seager, and every shortstop available after that, it's like these guys are up here, and then everyone else is just down here. You know?
Gotcha. All right, well then, thanks for those tips. I mean, those 3 tops. I mean, unless you have another top that's going in the first round, Will, for number 2. Who do you have for number 2?
My number 2 is Tony's number 1, Frankie Lindor. I think, you know, for the same reason that Tony said that he has him as number 1, he's on the Mets now. With the Indians, he had a couple guys that, you know, maybe could have added him in. Jose Ramirez, and you know, once in a while someone else would get hot, or Carlos Santana was with the Indians last season. That helped out a lot also. But now with the Mets, man, their lineup, I don't know if you guys know this, but you know, we've already talked about how the Braves and the Dodgers had the most runs and maybe even home runs throughout the season last year. But the Mets actually had the highest batting average out of every team last season. Okay. I don't know how they didn't even get, you know, past that like little hump, how they didn't win the division. But you know, especially with the pitching they had, the batting average they have, I guess it's the bullpen, right? That was their major problem, but I guess they're trying to solve that right now. Yeah. But yeah, man, Frankie Lindor, I mean, I don't see any holes in his game. He's a lot of power. He steals some bases. Really good batting average. I know you said he kind of declines in batting average a little bit every season, but that also could be because, you know, ever since when the Indians went to the World Series, after that, the production of the whole team just kind of started going down every season.
The Indians are notorious for trading their pieces.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this then. So the Mets have already got Lindor, and you said they have the highest batting average, right? Would he change in the position? I mean, in the fantasy ranks, would he change if, like, let's say a Springer signs with the Mets, or someone else of significance that can change that lineup up and just do something different? Would he change in the ranks of fantasy? Where he's let's say, I don't know what's he ranked right now.
I think he's like around well, he's definitely like round 1, early round 2.
Okay.
So I don't think it'll change much.
It won't?
Lindor is 17 overall.
Because let's say they'd signed George Springer, right? George Springer it's a leadoff hitter.
He's a leadoff hitter. So Lindor will probably be moved to number 2 or 3.
To number 2 or 3. So then that would change, right? You would be like, oh, then he has more chance of getting RBIs. He has more chance of, like, you know, moving them over and stuff like that, or getting walks. You know, because depending on the position or the batting, where he bats, I think it's where you start looking at these players, right? And you start thinking, hey, I need to, my wheels are spinning in my brain. I need to actually pick them before someone else does. So does that have anything to do with it?
Especially because of the shortstop position, because shortstop is probably the position that has the least amount of elite hitters, other than catcher, of course, you know.
Yeah.
But shortstop's one of those positions where if you don't get one early, you're going to miss out. You're going to get stuck with leftovers.
Gotcha.
Kind of like how second base used to be, but second base is full, you know.
It's stacked. When we were talking about it last week, it was pretty like, oh, damn, yeah, you're right. I don't know about Marte. I just want to.
Hey, he's eligible at shortstop, guys.
Yeah,
don't forget. Exactly. Well, maybe not in ESPN. Depends. Look at your leagues.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to number 3. Will, who's your number 3?
My number 3 is Manny Machado. I have him over Tatis, and mainly the reason is because just consistency. He was really bad when he was with the Dodgers, and he was really bad when he went to San Diego. But he's really come into his own after he's spent a year in San Diego. This past season, he was amazing, you know. 275 with 12 home runs, even had a couple stolen bases, which is kind of unheard of from Machado, right? Yeah. But I think just being around that winning team, he never had that with Baltimore. And now that he has all these guys around him that either look up to him, or maybe he even looks up to some of these other guys, different coaching, I think that he's really coming into his comfort zone like he was in Baltimore, and he's really starting to shine.
Yeah, well, he has a supporting cast around him. Why wouldn't he succeed? And he's eligible for shortstop.
As far as I know, yes, he's eligible at shortstop and third base. So what I was reading online is a lot of these fantasy apps or websites.
Yeah.
They're allowing the previous season's eligibility to roll over into 2021 just because 2020 was so short. There's not enough of players that played different positions throughout the season.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Tony, do you agree with that pick?
Yeah. It's he's definitely. I mean, just because he's eligible for that position, I would say he's probably top 5 if you look at eligibility.
Yeah.
He's going he's ranked 21 overall.
Yeah.
So I mean, you'll definitely see him go in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
But I chose Jeez, now you made me forget my pick. Trevor Story, you're number 1.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And just because of like Will mentioned earlier, he has that power production. You know, a lot of people think it's just because of Coors Field, but I think he is a power hitter for a shortstop. You know, and he is going to get you about 25-30 home runs every season. So I put him as my number 3.
Okay, so you guys pick almost the same guys, but in different spots. Is it a strategy you guys are thinking about? Because I see different. I mean, it's not like the other shows where you guys talk about one player and you're like, oh, you guys are agreeing, right? And we're going through them. So I guess this position is one of those positions you guys mentioned that is not a lot of shortstops there, and the elite ones are alone on the first rounds. How many rounds do you skip before you pick another shortstop?
Well, I think it depends on what your draft order is.
Yeah.
If you have the number 1 overall pick, you know, you could go Tatis, which a lot of people are probably going to do because they want him on their team. You know?
Yeah, I'll do that. I know the name. I'll go for it.
The win.
It's a win-win, baby.
Yeah, if he produces. See, the thing with Tatis though is the way that he was in the beginning of the season, he completely dropped off at the end of the season.
At the end of the season,
he showed up a little bit in the playoffs. You know, something must have lit a fire under him. But you know, the last month and a half of the regular season, he just wasn't doing so good. And the season was only 2.5 months long. So first half he was doing amazing, and then the second half he started the season at a 380 average, and then went all the way down to 270 something.
Yeah, and
that's
you know
a big drop off. So he had a huge slump.
That's interesting you're saying that, because he was in the voting for MVP in the first half of the season, and they were talking about him and everything. Everything was blowing up, and then the last half it fell off. And then guess who went in? Your number 3, Will. Was it number 3? Machado. He was number 3 in MVP voting. So, because of the short season, I'm guessing. But like Tony said, he's gonna come into a full season this 2021. So I guess a lot of people are excited for this player. They've seen what he can do, and they see the numbers. They're not bad.
There.
The potential,
and
then
the
lineup
high.
Yeah, the lineup that he's in is just it's really, really, really good.
See, Tony used the perfect word. The potential is there.
Yeah.
I don't think that I've seen enough of him. Same thing we said about Pete Alonso in the first base episode. That we just haven't seen enough of him to really believe in his abilities yet. I totally believe in Tatis. I think that he will probably end the season around a 280 batting average with 35 home runs and maybe even 15 to 20 stolen bases. I believe he will do that, but I still think it's too much of a gamble because I haven't seen enough consistency from this guy, because we've only seen him less than 100 games total. Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, you sold me, but I'm still picking him if I have a chance. Yeah, because the potential's there. It is there, and you guys been talking about in the other shows how the cast around the player makes who the player is sometimes. And I see that, and if I can get my hands on him and no one has picked him, maybe he's not gonna
go past round 2.
No,
I would say
for sure.
Round 2, the early round 2, the latest is where you see him
going.
Yeah, I mean, people are already putting them up as 3 overall.
Three overall. See,
Three
and
overall.
I honestly, personally,
I don't see that.
I
though.
don't understand that because I would never put him ahead of Mike Trout. Mike Trout is just way too consistent every single season to have anyone go ahead of him unless it's a pitcher. If you want to go heavy on your pitching and you want to get Garrett Cole or Jacob deGrom number 1, I understand that picking him over Mike Trout, but I would never pick any other player over Mike Trout until Mike Trout starts slumping. You know, he's still young. He's on a really bad team, but they're working on it. They signed Rendon. You know, they lost Andrelton Simmons. I think he's a free agent now, so they definitely have to fill in that spot.
They just signed Kurt Suzuki, a veteran catcher.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
And then the dude Marcus Semien, right? He's still out there. They need a shortstop, and he was in the MVP voting a couple seasons ago for AL. So there's a lot of things that they can do if they want to spend the money right now. And it seems like they do, right? Because they signed Rendon, they signed Trout to that like 13-year deal.
And they signed your boy, what is his name? O'Shea Ohtani?
What's up, O'Shea?
I don't know what his name is. Who is he? He plays? He's still playing?
Yeah, I think so.
Man, I think that guy's going to surprise you, man. I think
so.
Next season, he's going to come back healthy.
Not until I see it, then I'll start believing.
Yeah, he's coming back healthy. He's going to replace Albert Pujols as the DH.
Yeah, well, Albert Pujols still has like another year or 2 in his contract.
Yeah,
it's going to be.
But
crazy.
honestly, though, just bench him.
Yeah.
Even if you're paying the guy $20 million a year, he can't run. So unless he's hitting a home run every single time he goes up at bat, it's like, what's the point? It's like pushing a refrigerator across the ground.
Yo.
Oh man, you can't do that to Pujols. Why are you doing that to Pujols, man? That's messed up.
Hey man, he was great with the Cardinals, but the Angels got screwed over on that really long deal, man.
Yeah, it happened. The Angels just signed him. They thought they were going to fill the seats. I mean, it sucks. It sucks for the organization. It sucks for the fans because I mean, the fans want another World Series. I know they do. I know they want like let's just throw it out there. Like I think the Angels honestly need pitching, and if they go for Trevor Bauer, then I can be serious about that team. I could say, okay, they went after Trevor Bauer. Ohtani needs to step up now. Now you have the 1-2 punch, and now you have your lineup. Which
you have Bundy too,
and Bundy's there too. Like so, you're gonna have a good enough pitching staff to get you to the playoffs.
Don't they have Gosman also?
No, that's San Francisco, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, the fans are just waiting for a pitcher. Forget the lineup is stacked. You need pitching. That pitching needs. I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm not a
I think you hit it in the head.
As a baseball fan, you get to see all these things that the Angels been doing, giving these big old contracts, and the players haven't been producing. But they have been producing. It's just the pitching they have is not keeping the run production low enough for the hitting to actually be something that's impactful to it. Yeah,
right.
Because Mike Trout could only do so much. Pujols could do like so much. Rendon can only do so much. But if you don't have the pitching and you're scoring 5-6 runs a game and you're still losing, guess what? That light bulb needs to turn on at one point, and you need to go out and get that pitcher. And they haven't done it. And they think Ohtani's going to be their number 1 ace pitcher. That's not going to happen. They need to go after.
No way.
They want him to pitch every Sunday only.
Yeah, and that's
not bad.
It's not going to work.
No,
I think it'll be fine. That's what
it'll
you
be
need
fine,
from him.
but you can't have your ace only pitch on Sundays, and we never slot him in at any other time because they kind of like boosted him up like he was going to be their ace.
Yeah,
and now the guy's just he's so injury prone.
Yep.
I'm really hoping after this last surgery that he had, like I really hope he's just going to be healthy for at least the next few seasons before he starts to get a little bit older, because he's still really young. What's he, like 24?
He's young. He's young, 24, 25, around that area. Like I can't really say. I'm not looking at his numbers, but he does need to produce. It's time for him to show the Angels why they signed him and why they gave him that huge contract. because Angel fans are kind of fed up of that. Like 2 seasons in a row, they haven't done anything. I remember going to the game that he actually started for the first time at Angel Stadium. We went for the Little League, just so you guys know. I'm a Dodger fan. But I was there. He was throwing. He was throwing. Ring. He was throwing a no-hitter through 6 innings, dude. And this guy was just electric. Yeah. And the fans felt it. But it was only 1 game. After that, he just, I don't know. He didn't perform. Maybe he was injured already. Whatever it was, you know. I mean, we got off topic, but it's always good to talk about baseball. It's always good to talk about a team here in LA, right? The Angels. And I think I'm putting it out there. Hopefully they do sign Trevor Bauer, and that'll be something huge for the Angels and for the honestly, West. Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me if they sign Trevor Bauer.
Yeah.
He's from LA.
They need
so I think that I read that he grew up as a Dodger fan. But if he could be 30 minutes away from Dodger Stadium and play in Anaheim, why not? You're close to home where you grew up. It's just a half hour on the freeway to get to LA. So I'm sure he still has family living there. He
does. I'm pretty sure he does.
I think it just makes sense. It's a good fit for him. He could legitimately be their ace, and Trevor Bauer and. I think Andrew Heaney's still on the team. He's decent. He's like a low 4s ERA type of guy. Not a lot of strikeouts, but he's a decent, solid, number 3 or 4. They can figure something else out for the bottom of the rotation. But if they can get Trevor Bauer,
he's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
If they can get Trevor Bauer, then they need to start working on the bullpen.
They're instantly better with him. Instantly.
Yes,
and probably even like playoff contenders.
Yeah, because Trevor Bauer, he's going to get him between 15 and 20 wins.
Yep.
Well, with that, I mean, we already gave you a top 3 in fantasy baseball, and we talked a lot about the Angels, which is something that we do because we are a baseball podcast, right?
Don't be mad at us.
Yeah, don't be mad if we're throwing things out there and you're an Angels fan and you didn't like what we said, but that's the truth. As a baseball fan, we see things and we're actually giving our opinion. They need to go after pitching.
I want to see them do good.
Yeah, and everybody does. I do too, even though the fans sometimes get on me because I'm a Dodger fan and they wish they had the Dodger fan base, which they don't, but I need to throw it out there, man. I just have to do it. But it's time for them to actually, get that name pitcher on their team. And I think they're due for a World Series. I think in the predictions, 2023, they're going to the World Series, I guess. So how is that going to happen if they don't do any movements?
Right.
I have no idea. So if they do go after Trevor Bauer, it could happen. And we could see that World Series that LA been wanting for a long time. And what is that? The Freeway Series, right?
Yeah.
Dodgers, Angels.
That would be awesome.
So
yeah. So hopefully we get it. And hopefully that happens. As a baseball fan, I think you want to see that. Just like the New York Mets and the New York Yankees. I was going to say Giants. New York Yankees. So, there you go.
Hey, that World Series will be kind of scary for Dodger fans, right? Because
it will.
The Angels, they kind of seem to have the Dodgers numbers sometimes.
They do.
Kind of back and forth with those guys. It's the same thing like the Giants, right? Giants have been sucking for so many years, but for some reason, it's really hard for the Dodgers to just get past those.
There's extra motivation.
For sure.
Yeah, the type of game is very different than any regular season.
And they elevate their game. They see all the fans in the stands because when Angels Stadium, when the Dodgers play the Angels, the stadium's actually packed. You got half Angels fans and half Dodgers fans, and it gets fun. You talk crap to each other, but then when another team comes around, let's the Astros, right? You got a bunch of Angels fans, but it still doesn't fill up maybe half the stadium.
It's a different atmosphere. I think the fans have a lot to do with it, man. I think the fans have to, I honestly feel that the fans, the players sometimes, I'm like, I can't stand Dodger fans or I can't stand certain fans. And, it plays a big part in the sport, I feel, and Angel fans actually feel like a little bit of resentment towards Dodger fans because we do have a huge fan base, right? And they wish they had that fan base. Like I can name you like a few Angel fans with one hand. Like
Yeah.
I don't know so many Angel fans. It's not that I'm like trying to be funny. It's just that's the truth.
Yeah, I can say the same thing. I maybe know, like you said, I can count them on one hand how many Angels fans I know.
Yeah, and but it's time though. It's time for them to actually pick up that pitcher. Hopefully they pick up Trevor Bauer and we can move on and just have fun.
And give Mike Trout a playoff run because we want to see how Mike Trout can play in the playoffs.
Yeah,
right?
and that stat, that one hit and
I think he's only had.
Yeah, that's not good for him, man. That doesn't look good. Yeah, he's the best player in baseball. It's kind of like the Kershaw curse,
Exactly.
So
exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, like let's get that man to the playoffs. Let's get him at least some exposure. That's what we want and that's what we need. Before we sign out, you guys have anything else to say?
I don't think so.
All right, well.
Oh yeah. If you guys have any fantasy related questions, we have a new email address, realtalkbaseball@yahoo.com. So if you guys have any questions, just send them over. We'll get back to you, as soon as we get it.
Yeah, that sounds really good, man.
I got a few questions. Why does Will hate me?
Well, I'm Carlos Baseball. This is WillPower and Tony Snap. This is Real Talk Baseball. Signing out.
See you guys.
Late.